All right, good evening, everybody here and watching live. At this time, we will open the regular planning and zoning meeting for the town of Trumbull for Wednesday, November 18th, 2020. At this time, we'll say the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. It's like we have some feedback out there, Mr. Chin. I don't know who it is. Several people are off mute. If everybody could mute themselves, if you don't see yourself speaking soon, that would be great. So, roll call. I will start with Commissioner Don Cinto is absent, and our hearts go out to him. Commissioner Cinto's brother passed away yesterday, so we know he's not joining us. Our best wishes go out to him and the Cinto family. Commissioner Prush has reported to be logging in, but he's running behind, so he is absent at roll call. Commissioner D'Aquila.
Present.
Commissioner Silber.
Present.
And Commissioner Corey.
Present.
And I am here. That makes 5. All right. So at this time, we will call the first application, which is number 7100 and 7120 Main Street. Applicant, Amazon.com Services, LLC. Is requesting a special permit site plan to remove the existing building at 7100 Main Street and include the property into the previously approved site plan and to include 23 more parking spaces to the site pursuant to Article 2, Section 4.2 and Article 15 of the Town of Trumbull zoning regulations in the IL2 industrial zone, file case number 20-13. At this time, as we've done usually and works well for us, I'm going to go to staff for their report and presentation, which makes the applicant's presentation just a little smoother for everyone watching and listening. So, Mr. Librandi.
Mr. Chairman, this is Attorney
Oh,
Cordell.
sorry.
That's okay.
Yeah.
I've got just 2 housekeeping matters before we get into the application. First of all, if the record show that Commissioner LeConte is not present tonight.
Oh, that's, yep. Sorry about that.
Nope, no worries. And just for the record, this meeting is being taped. It is being conducted pursuant to Executive Order 7B,
you know
Executive 7 Order I.
Yeah.
Eliminating a curb cut, you're eliminating a non-conforming.
We're not.
Mr. Russo, you got to mute yourself, Mr. Russo, please. Thank you.
Executive Order 7B and 7I by video conference and over the internet. The public may comment during the public comment section of the meeting by electronically raising your hand. And there'll be instructions provided when that time comes. Please note that the posting of comments on Facebook Live or any other online format are not part of the public record and the commissioners will not see that. Also, the agenda was posted on the town website 24 hours in advance, along with all of the supporting materials for each application. And I'd ask commissioners to identify themselves and participants to identify themselves prior to speaking. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Cordone. My apologies. The first month you don't remind me and we just went right by you. So, Mr. Librandi, now if you wouldn't mind just giving us your staff overview before the applicant makes his presentation.
Sure. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As the applicant states, it's pretty cut and dry that the house that's at the corner of I think it's 25 and Spring Hill Road, that house there, they're proposing to demolish that building and just incorporate it into the existing parking area to the Amazon site. It's going to be 23 parking spaces. They're going to eliminate the curb cut that's existing there right now. And that's pretty much it. That house does not require demolition delay. It is doesn't meet the year requirement, so demoing it is not an issue. Other than that, it's pretty straightforward and it would be a good addition to the site. as it completes that corner there. Thank you.
Okay, and we have for the applicant this evening, who is speaking.
Raymond Rizzio in front of you tonight. Can you hear me?
Go ahead. Yes, sir. Go right ahead.
Chairman, members of the commission, happy to be before you representing Amazon. I want to thank Rob for basically taking my whole presentation. I appreciate it, but I'll be quick. This is the most important part about this thing is this is a property that never belonged there. This was an old house that in later years was converted to an accounting office, and that the property sits too close to the street. It's on a 1/4 acre. It has a curb cut that's too close to the corner of Spring Hill Road and Main Street. What our client would like to do is they've acquired the property. They plan on demolishing the home and adding additional parking for the current project. We were back before you recently where the commission granted us the ability to switch the circulation of how our property operated. That nothing has changed from that with regard to that circulation or with regard to the project, except the adding 23 parking spaces. So in essence, what we're doing is we're eliminating a non-conforming IL2 zone. We're reducing a curb cut at one of the town's busiest corners, and we're increasing the parking, which is very necessary for Amazon on site. For all those reasons, I'd respectfully request you grant this application, allow us to merge the lots, and basically now square off this corner so that it's one uniform project. I'd be happy to answer any questions. It's very straightforward.
I have one quick question that
Sure.
on the parking and the curb cuts.
Yes.
I was going through it and I apologize. I went through all the pages quickly. Is this property going to be completely enclosed and only accessed from the interior parking lot already? There are no extra remaining left curb cuts. It's just an additional interior parking spaces and that's it.
100%. You're eliminating a curb cut, and this will take care. This will be accessed, or these parking spaces will just be built into regular circulation. So you're eliminating a curb cut on Spring Hill Road and not adding any additional curb cuts. Additionally, this has already been seen by the police commission when we came before you previously, and they had no issues with it.
Great. Okay, at this time, I'll just go around the screen that I have in my order. Mr. DeQuilla, any questions?
Mr. Nicola doesn't have any questions for Mr. Rizzio, Attorney Rizzio.
Mr. Corey,
Yeah, I just have a question. When we approved this, there was adequate parking. What happened that requires? Is it an expansion or?
No, what happened is, for Amazon, they always try to get as much parking as they can. This property did not belong. So they decided to acquire it, knock it out of the way. The building affects the sight lines for the drivers. The building, has this additional curb cut that's not necessary on Spring Hill Road. So they felt by buying this, adding 23 parking spaces, that it would help with the efficiencies of the current building. There's not 1 square foot of building being added in connection with this project. It's merely creating additional parking for a use that needs as much parking as it possibly can get.
Thank you.
okay, Commissioner Silver.
Thank you, Chairman Garrity. So I just took one quick question. What are the plans for buffering the new parking space from the street? It seems like a decent opportunity to create a nice looking landscape at that corner.
The town has a lot of that property.
So, what the interesting, if I pull it up on the map, believe it or not, most of that is is on town property. So where you see, we're not there, there's a decent amount of landscaping there, as you can see. So you see all the hedgerow, you see the existing landscaping that is not on this property, and that will all remain. So what you'll do is level the building, and then install the parking behind the existing landscaping.
This is our line.
So you see the property line there? And we're
Yeah,
not,
I know there's a corner there though. That's that's lawn, right? Right across from the nursery. It's lawn. So I don't know how far up the town landscaping goes.
oh,
So
town landscaping goes right, almost
Right through.
right through there. So all that, the hedgerow, all that landscaping, as you can see, there's a good, I want to say probably 25 feet at least from.
Can you
the
see
property
his
line to
screen,
the corner.
Commissioner Sober?
yes, I can, Mr. Chairman. And just to cut the whole point short, Attorney Rizzio, I would just ask to make as a condition of approval that the landscaping plan is approved by the town planner.
No problem.
Um,
Happy to do that. We'll also agree as a condition of approval. I believe there was a comment from the town engineering that we meet with the, satisfy the storm drainage requirements, current storm drainage requirements, and we will agree to that as a condition of approval.
Thank you, Attorney Rizzio. One quick thing, Mr. Chairman. People have mentioned to me that the Amazon trucks are parking up in the old United Healthcare facility. Can you tell us what's going on there?
My understanding is that currently they have rented some spaces while they are transitioning on a temporary basis in the exit, because there's an existing parking garage and parking lot there.
Right.
They are currently in the process of moving up the street in Monroe on a larger piece of property, put all their auxiliary parking.
Right. And so there's no intention to, I mean, I don't know what the status of that building is. I think there's litigation there. But
I think that's going to be in litigation forever. So I think they were just, it was a short-term solution. And I would hope that very soon the permanent parking lot will be constructed.
Okay, thanks.
You're welcome.
That's all I got.
Commissioner Silber, are you looking for low-lying vegetation on the corner? Are you looking for like an upgrade of the existing vegetation? Anything that's over mature needs to be removed, that sort of a thing, or?
Yeah, no, I thank you for asking. I think for me, the idea would be to maintain, some green barrier before the parking lot, before the macadam or whatever you call it starts. And, whether it's 10 feet of lawn and maybe some low lying plantings, to your point, 3 to 4
Okay.
feet, something like that.
Okay.
You have no problem if that, Commissioner Silver, if that'll make you comfortable, that at least we'll put some shrubbery there to block the lights of the cars that park at night and things like that. That's no problem.
Excellent. Yes, that's it.
Okay. Can you stop sharing your screen now, Mr. Rizzio?
Sure.
That would be great so we can see everybody.
Great.
So at this time, are there any other comments from commissioners? I don't think that there are. We've called on everybody. Mr. Chin, we're going to see if anybody from the public raises their electric hands. At this time, if there's anybody from the public who wishes to comment on this application, now is the time. Raise your electronic hand and Mr. Chin will notify us. We'll give you a couple seconds.
In addition, if you're calling in on the phone, you can press *9.
Okay, so without hearing any questions from the public and application presented and commented, at this time, I will take a motion to close the hearing. Mr. DeQuilla, that's you. Second, Mr. Silver. All in favor, close the hearing, aye?
Aye.
Aye. That's 5.
4.
All right. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm counting myself on the screen and in my chair. You like that? And
There you
counting
go.
them there. And I counted the squares and then I counted myself. Yeah, so there's 4 of us.
There's 4 of us.
Nope. Yeah, no comments there from anybody else. Thank you very much. So, all right, that's 4. All right, so at this time, I will take a motion to approve.
So moved.
Mr. DeQuilla and Mr. Silver made a motion and a second. At this time, we'll have,
Chairman.
Hold on. I thought we were going to make a motion to approve with the
Subject to
condition that the
conditions
Right. Good
the
point.
landscaping plan be approved by the
Right.
town. Yeah.
and storm drainage.
okay. So we'll just quickly amend it. So a motion to amend with compliance with the storm drainage, and the applicant will work with the town planner to make enhancements to the landscaped corner to the best of everyone's ability.
Motion to approve that amendment.
Okay, second,
Second.
Mr. DeQuilla. Okay, no discussions. All those in favor of amending the original motion? Aye. Mr. DeQuilla, I see your hand or voice, that's 4. Okay, now on the original motion as amended, are there any more comments on the motion? Hearing none, I'll call the motion. All those in favor of approval? Aye.
Aye.
2, 3, 4, unanimous. Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Rizzio and
Thank you,
everyone.
folks. Have a nice evening.
Okay. All right. Number 2, we have 5065 Main Street, applicant Marissa Gideon Kimley Horn, owner Trumbull Shopping Center. Number 2 LLC is requesting a special permit site plan application to install an electric vehicle charging station structures at the Main Street entrance with the mall using a total of 8 parking spaces, where 4 will be removed to allow 4 electric charging stations pursuant to Article 3, Section 3.4, and Article 15 of the Town of Trumbull zoning regulations in the MDD Mixed Use Design District, file number 20-14. Mr. Lebrandi, would you please give us your staff report?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So in front of you today is an application for a total of 4 electric charging stations, which will be taking over 8 parking spaces toward the entrance to the mall. I believe all the commissioners have the plan, so they know the exact location of where they're proposing the charging stations. I have spoken with the applicant a few times to figure out what is the best avenue, and realistically, with all the development that's going on with the mall, I felt that this application really needs to go in front of the commission, as this potential charging station is so close to the connection that was proposed with landscaping improvements and lighting and walkability enhancements between the mall and the proposed apartments. This charging station is going to be in an existing island. Right when you get into the entrance of the mall, it will be at your 12 o'clock or your 11 o'clock coming from the main entrance to the mall.
Hold on a
I
second.
did have,
Yeah, 11 o'clock, right?
yeah, I did have a few concerns that I did want the commission to address that maybe the applicant can address as well, in terms of with the structure that's going to be there, and that being the highest trafficked area, visibility, as there will be a charging structure above ground there. The aesthetics, this commission has worked so hard to have an updated aesthetics between the mall and the apartments. So this starts right when that area, that upgraded area starts. So it's an interesting transition. We did talk about alternative locations with the applicant, and I know they're looking for main visibility there. So I think that they want to come in front of the commission to discuss, the importance of this location. That being said, there is already 1 charging station right now at the mall that was approved by the Connecticut Green Bank. We did get a grant, I believe, for that. So there is 1 charging station, and I know in the future we're going to need more charging stations. My main concern is the area of where this station is going. So, maybe we could have the applicant show us the elevation to show what's going to be proposed on this island, and have the commission discuss if this is a location that they feel comfortable with, or if this is a location that, maybe we should be looking for other areas around the mall to incorporate this. And maybe for future references, maybe the commission thinks that it starts in a different area, and then in the future, if it is successful and there is a high intensity of electric charging cars, which is a great thing, that maybe this area be looked at again. So again, this is I leave it to the commission for discussion. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, and that's what we have from the staff at this point. So who do we have here to speak on behalf of the application?
Good evening. My name is Marissa Gideon with Kimley Horn, and I represent Electrify America. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. Please let me know when you can see it.
We can see it.
Okay. Um, so as we discussed, this is the mall site, and we're coming off the Main Street entrance here. We are in this median right here at the turn of the mall. We're placing the electric vehicles in this location and the ancillary equipment, the support equipment, right up on this median. This is the current condition of the parking area we're going to propose to improve.
Right.
And this is
So
the,
I just want to, as we're going through, if you don't mind, do you want me to wait till the end or just ask conversation questions as we're going through?
no, let's go ahead and have a conversation.
So this is the front esplanade coming down the entrance. And as you know, the town planner accurately pointed out, we just spent probably 4 to 5 months making sure that we properly enhanced both the property that's being developed coming down and the transition from their rear to the front of the mall, which included a complete upgrade of the mall's landscaping from, I don't know what's north or south, from the high side all the way down to what your esplanade is now going to be. And I just want to be clear, your plan says to remove all the vegetation on that island and replace it with square box charging stations that feed your pumps?
Correct.
Okay.
So these
I
are going
just
to be
wanted to
our
make
power.
sure.
Yeah, so we're going to have a basically a elevated platform. This can be a retaining wall. It could be an MSE wall looking structure. That it will have a fence on the backside. So as you enter the road, you're not going to actually.
What are you showing us? Coming down, looking from the road, or the interior?
So this is parking lot. This is parking lot side. So if we're looking from the parking stalls, so the road would be on this side. Can you see my mouse?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah,
the
it's
road.
just not a great visual for us. It's just, go ahead.
Okay. Well, we'll be coming in from this side of the, well, this side is the road side and this is the parking lot side. So this is, if we're standing at the mall and we're looking toward the entrance road, you know, these are our dispensers that are in line with each other. And then it has this platform with our power cabinets and a fencing, screen fencing on the backside. So when they enter from the road, they actually won't be seeing our power equipment from the road. They'll be seeing a fence. This is an example of the side-by-side configuration for the electric vehicle charging stations, but this is an example of the
Why
fence.
in that picture you just showed, is there no monstrosity next to it?
It must be on the other side. I mean, this was just an
So
example, but
so you do have the ability to separate the monstrosity from the charging stations?
well, the power equipment needs to be close to the dispensers.
Okay,
So,
this is your presentation. These are the dispensers and I don't see the power station. So you're going to have to help me here.
yes, I understand. We're just trying to show this side-by-side configuration. The dispensers are probably to the left here in this situation.
They are.
Okay.
But because of the you know, the space that we have, there really is not very many alternatives to move the power equipment around.
Okay.
So if I could just mention something, Mr. Garrity, I'd hate to leave that comment that you made on
who is this?
Oh, I'm sorry. This is Beverly Barraza. I am a landscape architect at Kimley Horn. You know, what you mentioned about the landscaping, if we take out any landscaping, we'd be more than happy to work with you all and see where we can put that landscaping back in and make up for what we're taking out. We have no intention of whatsoever of taking over what you guys have put in.
I'm sure you would. And I'm sure you would. This is like a 50, 60%, maybe close to 70% plan here. I completely respect the professionalism of what you're intending to do and want to do and work with us. The issue that we all have, that the town planner has been working with you on, is you're talking about replacing landscaping that is the initial eye catch when you come into this property, adjacent to a just recently enhanced landscaping plan where you're going to pull it all out. So you're going to see the beautiful buildings and landscaping coming down the hill, all the new landscaping to the left. And as we get to the right, we're going to see these structures. And the question I guess staff had, and I'm sure we're going to have, and seeing as we're just talking about it now, you have to explain to us in some detail what the decision-making process was and why yes and why no, whether it's competition or what it is, that we're not seeing a plan that enhances the already existing locations of charging stations at the mall, rather than adding a secondary position that is going to be, great for the ozone layer, but terrible for the appeal, the eye appeal to the whole mall landscape coming down and entering.
Okay. If I may just mention, you all mentioned the apartments that were going in that you guys are going to be developing that just got approved. A lot of those people may have electric vehicles. That apartment isn't going to provide charging stations for them. If they can look across the street and they see, oh, there's a charging station right there, that's a selling point for them all in and of itself. We understand that it may not be the beautiful landscaping that you guys want, but this is not only, this position, Marissa can explain it more, this position isn't only better because of the electrical tie-in that is pretty close by, but the existing chargers that are out on there right now, they charge a car between maybe 7 to 8 hours, and you can get a fully charged car. These chargers, they charge within half an hour. And that's a selling point for anyone who wants to stop at a mall, get something, charge their car, and then
So
they
if
can
you
head back home.
if you installed your products right next to those products, you'd put them out of business and be able to expand within 6 months.
Well, no, there's differences between the two. I'm not an expert in electric vehicle charging stations, but there's differences between their chargers and our chargers. People who want a fast charging, they would go to us. But there are certain, obviously, constraints to the model of their car, the year of their car, things like that, that they would prefer to go to a level 2 charger rather than these level 3 chargers.
Oh, so you just brought it up that it was negative. I was just following your lead, and now it's not negative. Okay, go ahead.
So
Right.
I just wanted to, this fence or a similar type of fence is what actually would be seen, not the power cabinets or even the dispensers as you drive in. So you would not actually see the dispensers from the road. This is actually what will be seen from the roadside. Does that make sense?
Yep.
What Beverly was alluding to was kind of the power that I spoke with our electrical engineers on. I wanted to point out this location was the alternate location, and we did try to source the power for it to see how it would work. I think we have a 460-foot long run from the nearest power point or power pole in order to do the installation over here in this alternate location, while we're just crossing the street to a power pole here. So there's that benefit. We also coordinated this with the mall. So this is in coordination with them. I believe the level 2 charger is actually up on this parking garage, and the difference between a level 2 charging client would be, this is probably mall personnel, somebody that's going to work here all day for 8 hours and get their vehicle charged, while the level 3 charger would serve more of a customer that would be going into the mall for an hour or two. We also weren't really familiar with what the apartments, where the apartments are, or the discussion of your recent upgrades. So I mean, I'd be interested in learning a little bit more about that and seeing how we could accommodate or adjust.
So you'd be interested in learning about that? So you said you worked with the mall, who just spent 5 months and a year before that working with the applicant and had this design, and you're here with a design that's right next to it, and you haven't asked yet, and you're saying you'd like to learn more about it now?
We were told that there's an apartment complex going up. We were not told where it was going to be, and we were provided an alternate location.
Okay. No, I was just wondering, the mall didn't share the fact that all the landscaping and the esplanades north of your star have all been upgraded. That wasn't part of any of your mall discussions about what was happening and what you'd be next to?
Like I said, it was coordinated with the mall. So, I mean, the mall obviously does not have an issue with us going in this location. They leased this area to us. Electrify America deals directly with the site host. You know, I'm the civil engineer, so I don't actually know what conversations they had.
Okay.
Well, this is the end of my presentation. This is just the locations and trying to explain what we're trying to do here. Are there any other discussion items, or can I clarify any other pieces for you?
Yeah, so we're going to go around and ask each of the commissioners and let them chime in. So, Mr. Tequila.
Mrs. Gideon?
Yes, sir.
You indicated that you would expect some of the residents in the apartment complex to use the charging stations. Unfortunately, there are no sidewalks for them to walk from their apartment houses to this charging station. Is the mall going to do something about that?
Well, these are actually fast chargers, so they would charge within 30 to 15 to 30 minutes. So the intent is not for them to park their vehicle there and leave it there. The intent is for them to charge it and take it back. So it's really a convenience for them to be able to do a quick charge. These chargers are considered destinations versus, you know, the level 2s we were talking about that takes 8 hours to charge your vehicle.
So as you indicated, this is a fast charge. Is that the reason why we have so much equipment? We have a transformer, and then we have equipment, powered cabinets. It seems to be a lot of equipment.
Correct.
To accomplish this fast charge.
Yes, that's absolutely right. The difference between a level 2 is the alternate current versus direct current, and the level 3 provides direct current. And so that's why we need to have the transformer and the power cabinets. There's a power cabinet for each dispenser.
Well, I get concerned about the safety of all this equipment. How do you prevent people from walking up that elevated area that you place your power cabinets from getting into trouble?
Well, we could provide a gate. We do not currently have any restrictions from anybody coming up onto that platform.
Okay, and there's another safety issue. We have trailer tractors delivering goods to the various stores, and they come sweeping around, making a left-hand turn around the ring road. That ring road is defined as the road that goes around the entire mall. And should it be snowing, what happens if they slide into the transformer? What type of risk are we're dealing with, safety risks?
The transformer has bollards around it.
No, you only have bollards on one side, closest in the direction closest to the mall, but not on the other side.
I believe this is very blurry. Hold on one second. So all of these little black dots are actually bollards that are standard from the utility to go around the transformer. So all of these bollards surround the transformer.
Okay, when I looked at your engineering drawings, the bollards appear to be in the area that I just said. Can we specify those bollards to be there? And will it be able to stop a tractor trailer from crashing into it?
Well, the bollards are the utilities specification. I don't know what impact resistance it would have. But I mean, are they coming at a certain speed or?
It's a moderate rate of speed, not excessive.
Yeah,
I mean,
Mr. DeQuilla, I think I got your point and it's well made. I just think that the answer is simple. If a truck hits it, there's going to be an explosion. It's an electrical cabinet, just like if it happened anywhere else. Point well made. So are there any other safety issues or any other concerns you have for them? I'm interested to hear.
You have a sign that says it's only for EV charging.
yes.
Does that preclude a person from parking there, plugging it in their car and going into the mall and coming back, let's say 2 or 3 hours later? Will they be charged $150?
No, the vehicle stops charging once it's full. And they have an app, there's an application that communicates with the user to let them know when their vehicle stopped charging. So it doesn't continue to charge them or charge them, the two words, charge them dollars versus electricity, even though they're parked still in that spot. If that makes sense.
Okay, that's all. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, Commissioner Khoury.
I'm having a little trouble visualizing exactly what it's going to look like from the as you enter the mall. I would have appreciated some illustration. Well, yeah.
Well, I think you showed us pictures. To Mr. Khoury's point, are the pictures you showed an exact replica of what you're going to install?
Yeah, it's this TREX fence is our standard fence. The only difference is that we've changed it now to vertical slats because people were climbing them. So now our standard is a vertical slat, but this is the style fence.
So that's going to be along the. It's going to be right up against the curb. It's not offset from the curb at all.
No, it is along the curb. And
how far from the curb is how many inches?
I don't have AutoCAD open, but it's got to be at least 6 inches to 12 inches from the curb.
It just seems like it's very close. I mean, it's like right on the road. Usually we don't have a wall right on the road. It just seems like that's an active area and it's just like right there. It seems like if you just drifted a little bit, you'd run into it. To me, I mean, I guess, can you show us the ring road again? The other, I know the other location you had.
Yeah, let's stay there first. That's a very good question and goes to the ballards. On the ring road side, your intent is to have, this is a very good point, Commissioner Khoury, that, you know, when we have structures built, there's setbacks, safety setbacks to make sure that they're a proper distance from traffic and lane travel. So this structure with a huge electric transformers is going to be within 6 to 12 inches of the curb with the traffic that's going to go by. This is the first time we're actually building in an esplanade on a road. It's not even in the center of a parking lot. It's on the travel road. So is he correct? Is that what we're saying here?
Yes, we have just this bollard here at this side for anyone turning in this direction, but there are no bollards along the edge here.
I'm just not used to a wall being right on a road. Seems like if you just swerved a little bit, you would hit it.
I mean, I'm not familiar with this area. Are there a lot of accidents in this location?
Well, if you could show the whole, can you show the picture of the whole lot again, where it goes? Okay.
Oh, actually, I think I have a better one in the plans.
The one you had, one that showed the. Yeah, see that? People are coming down and just zipping right by that, and it's right on the. There's 2 lanes. Is there 2 lanes there? I think
Appears to be two
Yeah,
lanes.
you
a
know,
median.
to your point, are there a lot of accidents there?
Just
Previous, if your instruments were approved to be there, everything historically before that, when two lanes of traffic have gone by and one kind of swerves another, somebody's tires went up on the esplanade and they just kept going. It would be a smudge of dirt. Now it will be an accident that's going into an electric transformer.
Yeah, now you said, what was the reason you couldn't put it off the main road? A longer wire?
Well, we can't go too far away from the dispensers. So the dispenser location is, the power cabinets are close to the dispenser. So either they could be put to the side, but they cannot go very far. Like we couldn't put them over here per se, the power cabinets. Because then the further we go, the secondary wire, the less efficiency we get to the power cabinets. We'd have to put thicker wires down, if that makes sense. And the dispensers do not take the larger wires.
Yeah. Just seems like an awkward place to put a wall. And
While we're talking about the different locations, Mr. DeQuilla brought it up, Mr. Corey's bringing it up. Could you reiterate for us before we get to the end and ask questions of the public and other people why you can't, or you ruled out adding on to the area where the existing stations are?
This is the proposed location. I don't believe there's existing stations here. I believe.
I thought they were like in between your star and the building. That's what I thought there were charging stations over there.
There's one wall mounted one right there against the retaining wall on the Cheesecake Factory location in that parking area.
Okay,
by my hand?
so no, where your star is, where you're proposing your build. Where your star is, if you go on your screen, a few inches to the left, there's a charging station there. Is that correct, Rob?
Yes.
Okay. So are you with me?
Yes.
Where your star is, not where your cursor is, the other star.
Oh, this one?
Yes. Go 3 inches, about 3/4 of the way between that star and the building. The star where you're proposing to build. Take your cursor and put it on the star where you're proposing to build. Correct. Now slowly go to the left.
Okay.
It says
Stop.
charge point charging station right there.
There is a
Okay.
charging station there, which
Okay.
is out of the lane of traffic. It's a higher raised grade. That's my continued question is, if we already have an area that has safely been in use, it is out of the fast lane of traffic on the swerve. It is not, and I don't want to say eyesore, but it's not going to be require the removal of enhanced landscaping areas. Why? Maybe it wasn't considered. Maybe it was. That's kind of what I'm asking. Was it even brought up, ruled in, ruled out?
No, that area wasn't presented to us. Just the area in the red was provided as an option.
Okay.
So that wasn't something that we discussed with Electrify America. So, I mean, that's something we can go and explore. But it was just this further area out here was just going to be a far reach for us to get to.
Okay, I appreciate your patience. Mr. Curry, do you have any more questions?
no, just that, like I kind of have your concern that it's right at the entrance where you come in, there's a big blob there, and then it's very close to the wall is right up against the road. It just seems to me that it's dangerous place to put it. And it's also not really pleasing to the entrance of the mall where you first come in.
Okay. Thank you. Mr. Silber, any questions?
Yes, I'm sorry, I was muted. And I'm looking at the PowerPoint that we got emailed today at the same time as watching the one on the screen. Yeah, I have just a couple of questions. So is the proposed site going to be on the island, or are you going to be taking away parking spaces?
We are taking away 4 parking spaces in order to install the transformer.
Okay.
Um,
So
that-
the island could conceivably stay.
this
No,
island,
the island is the location for where all the transformers are being installed. It's both, Mr. Silver.
So it's
But-
that wide, it's the width of the island plus the parking spaces?
I'm not sure I understand, but I think there's like a nomenclature confusion. So this is a transformer, and then these are the power cabinets. So the power cabinets are up here.
Okay,
on
I
the-
understand. All right. So the power so I think what Chairman Commissioner Corey was talking about was the power cabinets that are right up against the street, right?
Right.
Yes.
And is there a way to move it to leave the island instead of putting them on what looks like to be the top of the island? Can't you just eliminate a few more parking spaces and move it in by 5 feet, 6 feet?
We'd have to coordinate that with the mall.
Well, I mean,
So suggesting to take up additional parking spaces and leaving this island as is.
yeah, more or less leave it in, and that way you could do some landscaping. That way you create some safety barrier from the road itself. That way you get that little bit of setback that Commissioner Corey was referring to, and you still get your space.
It's a good idea. It's one of the alternatives we will probably have to come up with at the end here, because the way I see this going, again, we'll all have to vote on this and agree on it, is that there's a hiccup with this initial presentation that I think we're all seeing various different angles.
Yeah.
But Mr. Silver presented something, Mr. Corey and Mr. DeQuilla brought up some of the same safety issues. So I think one of the things that will be best served today when we get to the end, because I want to get public comment if there is any, and ask Mr. Prush if he has any more comments, seeing as he's joined us, that we would ask the applicant to go in and work with staff and the mall to rework this, because we're not looking to reject it and go away. We think the idea is great. It's just kind of, where's it going to be best? So, Mr. Silver, is there any more questions? I was going to go to Mr. Prush and then staff and then the public again.
No, I think you hit on what I was getting at. The one thing I wanted to add to clarify is, what's explosive and what's not explosive? The chairman said that they blow up, and I just want to understand that.
I mean, I'm sure if you hit a transformer, there is definitely a reaction that happens with impacting a transformer. The power cabinets and the switchgear have some safeties that shut off. So the power cabinets, they're UL rated and it's a different beast, but the transformers, pulling in a lot of the utility power, and they have.
So you'd have a colossal explosion like in the movies?
I don't think it will be a colossal explosion. I've never witnessed one. I've heard it. But yeah, there would be something that would happen if you impacted a transformer. But there are safety bollards all around. That's for the utility.
Right. And it is set off the street a little bit, the transformer there. So, all right. Yeah, I mean, bottom line I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman, go ahead.
No, that's okay. I just want to make sure you're all set.
I'm all set.
Okay, Mr. Prush, thank you for joining us. I don't know if you have any questions. You made it for the whole presentation, but if you have something you'd like to ask or add, please feel free.
Well, the only comment I have, I think it's a great idea. My questions really are similar to the others that go to location, and it appears the mall gave them 2 locations. I don't know if there were any other alternatives, but I just do know from experience that this is probably the busiest area, vehicular wise, in the mall parking. You can see even from the aerial photo, that's where most of the cars are, and maybe that's good for them, but I do understand the issues with traffic. So I think that's something that needs to be talked about a bit more. And that's really aesthetically, I don't really have any questions about it, but location certainly is, I think, open for discussion here.
Thank you. So staff, if you have anything else, or else I'm going to ask Mr. Chin if you go to the public. Ladies, if you would mind not unsharing so that I can see the whole screen, and if anybody from the public is there, we can bring it back up if necessary. Mr. Chin, at this time, we would say if anyone from the public would like to make a comment on this application, electronically raise your hand. I think Mr. Chin, you pointed out, I guess, *9 if you're calling in on a telephone, right?
Correct.
So,
We've got Mr. Chandler would like to speak.
okay. And name and address for the record, please. You're on mute. You take yourself mute. Thank you. Your
How's
name
that?
and address. There you go. Name and address for the record.
Suzanne Byrne, 18 Tashua Parkway.
Tashua Parkway.
Yes.
Okay.
So my comment that I would have would be if we're installing electric vehicle charging stations, why wouldn't they have solar capacities to feed back into the grid to really have it be a destination and take Trumbull into the future? Because that technology is there and would really make it stand out rather than just plugging in.
I guess I have to ask a question because I'm not familiar enough. Are you talking about charging stations that are charged not just with juice from the power lines, but also from solar panels that are in a combination unit to charge the cars?
Correct.
Okay. All right. So we'll ask them. I'm going to continue to go through and see if there's any other questions. And then we'll get them to ask them all, because we don't want a question answer session with the applicant. I want to get the public's questions and we'll ask them to address them all at the end.
That's
All
fine.
right.
I would also be against the location.
Great.
I think there's better locations at the mall, but I would be against it if the proposal didn't have solar capabilities that went with it.
Hey, Pat.
Thank you.
Could you come here?
Mr. Toomey, you're not on mute.
It's here. Mr. Toomey is the next speaker.
Okay. All right. You're set. Ms.
Okay,
Burns, you're all set. Thank you. Okay, Mr. Toomey, it's your turn. Name and address for the record, please.
Hey, Peter Toomey, 39 Gorham Place, Trumbull, Connecticut.
Okay.
I have quite a few concerns about this. The main issue I have with it, I don't know if you're familiar with where this is going to go, but it's near where the power lines are. And there's power lines going from Gorham Place onto the Westfield property. And numerous trees were taken down in 2018 to accommodate those power lines. Imagine that's where they're going to be getting that power from, to power these stations. If it would be appreciated by me, Mr. Garrity, if you would actually take a look at what my concerns are, because I'm always making accusations, but nobody seems to follow them up. And I think it would be appreciated by yourself if you could look at these accusations that I'm making. There is no screening. So that monstrosity, that fence and that monstrosity that you're talking about, that's going to be right out my front window. And there is absolutely no screening whatsoever to block that. I live there, so I know this. I know the area. It's going to go in the island where E5, section E5 is. That pole is right outside my window. And it's going to be very visible to me. This is not my opinion. And this is not something that you can see looking at an aerial view, which is outdated because those trees that it's showing on that aerial view on their plans have been removed in 2018 by the UI, paid for by you and myself, not by Westfield. And, I understand that, Westfield has an obligation to society, but this committee has an obligation to the residents who live here and who have to deal with this. I've raised these issues numerous times. I've never seen anybody from this committee come out here to say, Mr. Toomey, what is it that you're talking about? What is your concerns? Westfield's got a lot of debris and a lot of dead trees on their property. I maintain the property over there. I pull the vines off the trees over there. I try to make it so those few trees that are there will survive, not Westfield. And nobody in this committee has ever come here to see what it is that I am accusing Westfield of. There's dead trees on my property that fall from Westfield land property onto my property. They've been notified about this. They just say it's woods and we'll just leave it be as it is. They're not going to do anything with it. And certainly at the very least, if there is any consideration of this going in, there's got to be some kind of a give and take and some looking into some kind of screening for the residential areas that have to put up with this. I know that my neighbors, the couple of neighbors have moved out because of the issues that are going on here. And, you know, I want to stay in Trumbull. It's unfortunate for Westfield that they've made poor business decisions or they've had problems with running their business the way that they did, but I shouldn't have to suffer for their mistakes or for their be inconvenienced for the sake of Westfield's profit. They're going to make money on these charging stations. These charging stations are not going to be for free, and it's certainly not going to do any good for me. It's only going to be an eyesore and a nuisance for me. And I see problems with people having issues over getting into this fast charging area. There's 8 of them, and there's talk that perhaps those apartments are going to want to use those. Shoppers are going to want to use those. People are going to be there not moving their cars, and it's going to be right outside my front door, and I'm going to have to live with it. So before you make any decisions, I suggest, Mr. Garrity, that you come to Gorham Place and look, and I don't mean drive down the street and turn around and drive back up. Come see me, see what my concerns are, see what my allegations are, see what it is that I'm concerned about, and tell me whether you think that this is an ideal situation that somebody that lives in the town of Trumbull that wants to live in a residential rural area should have to put up with. Looking at what your words were, a monstrosity. And I guarantee you, if you come and you look, you will see that that monstrosity is going to be right out my front window.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Toomey. Appreciate it. Mr. Chin, is there anybody else from the public raising their hand? Okay.
It does not appear that anyone else wishes to speak.
Do the applicants want to address anything that's been said by commissioners or the public so far?
My only item really is the solar option is not being rolled out in this cycle. I know that Electrify America is working on, you know, getting that equipment to be solar and solar powered, but it's just not part of our cycle this time. It may be coming in the future and be part of future upgrades. So that's the only comment I have.
Okay. All right. So let's have a discussion. I don't want to close the hearing. I would like to see what the commissioner's temperature is. I would suggest that we leave the application open and we ask the applicant to go work with staff. And I'm sure it's going to be necessary to work with the mall because we don't want them to have to refile and send them away, because I think we've all agreed it's a good idea. We just need it to be a great idea. So where and how it fits and what the aesthetics are and what the move is, I don't think any of the commissioners in, you know, the 1,000 parking spot mall would worry about 4 more spots being lost to, you know, the green future that they're trying to install. So, commissioners, do you agree that we should table this and ask the applicant to work with staff in the mall to, you know, maybe they don't come up with one and they want to stay with this, but at least make the attempt to modify this application and look for alternate or enhancements of what they've presented? Mr. Corey?
I agree. I agree with continuing this and trying to take into account our comments.
Great. Mr. Silver.
Yeah, I agree also. I like, just for the record, I like the spot. I think we, you know, to you, what you just said, Mr. Chairman, we could move, if we lose 4 more spots in that mall parking lot, it's not going to be, you know, a material difference, in my opinion. I think we can maintain the barrier, the island in the front. We can take care of Mr. Toomey's issues on the side there. And, but that, yes, I mean, the short answer is they should.
Great, next.
I'd like to see them, you know, you get me every time. Yeah. I mean, yes,
Chairman, I have one more comment. Is
Okay.
it possible that we could have as part of this, take a look at Mr. Toomey, have him explain to us, because he has in the past.
Yeah, I think
to come.
I think Mr. If I heard him, which I did, he spoke directly to me for half of his presentation, which was Mr. Toomey has great issue, and he's said it for many years on many different applications. He sees the mall when he looks out his window. He sees the signs lit up when he looks out his window. He is one of, if not the closest house to the mall on the dead end. He lives next to the mall, and this is just another structure. My description of the monstrosity at the beginning for both emphasis and theatrics was a monstrosity when you're coming down the hill into this beautifully landscaped, look left, ooh, there's a big box. His idea of a monstrosity was just another build that's going into the mall property. I understand what he was describing. So I think, you know, we can actually go down there, and I understand a lot of those issues. So I heard you, Mr. Corey, and thank you for that. Now I'll ask Mr. D'Aquila if he has anything else.
I guess my question is to Attorney Cordone. Can I go to Mr. Toomey's house, and I will not talk to him about this application? All I will be asking of him is to show me or allow me to enter his property to see his problems. And I will not talk with him with regard to this application. I need your opinion.
I think, Mr. D'Aquila, you can visit the site, which is the mall, and you can go down to Gorham Place there, drive to the end of the road, or, you know, walk around Mr. Toomey's near Mr. Toomey's front yard. I don't think it's a good idea for us to be making specific appointments with neighbors at this time. So yeah, you can certainly visit the site. That's certainly able for you to do that.
You can see it from the reverse side. I would chime in that it would not only cloud the issue of what you're doing, but it would also set some unbelievably dangerous precedent that someone came and said, you need to see my property first, and someone could say, you did it there, you didn't do it here. I like what Mr. Cordone said about visiting the property, walk it from the mall, walk up to his property on the other side, see everything that you can. But we can't leave the bounds of the application for a specific that would cloud what we're doing.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And I'm also looking to just protect whatever decision this commission makes. I want to be able to defend that decision. So I'm trying to keep the boundaries clear as to where we go. Mr. Toomey can certainly present again. The hearing will be kept open if you continue it. He could provide pictures from his front window. You could see those as well. So I think there's ample opportunity to see sort of hands-on in that manner. I hope that was helpful, Commissioner D'Aquila.
Thank you, Attorney Cordone.
On the question, Mr. D'Aquila?
I have a second point. I feel very uncomfortable with the amount of high-powered electronic boxes. And the reason why we have this is because somebody has decided to use a rapid charger versus the more typical slow charger that you find in the other mall in Milford. In fact, I looked at the charging station that is the first charging station, and it looks like a slow charger. Maybe wrong, but I don't see the transformer, the electronic boxes, the power boxes, or anything like that. So I guess I have to get my arms around whether or not we should take a stand as to whether or not we agree with a rapid charger versus a slow charger because of the safety issues. And I
Unless
agree
you,
that we should extend this to the next meeting.
great. Okay. Thank you, Mr. DeQuilla. Mr. Prush.
Well, first, I agree with keeping this open. After hearing everything, I would like to know more about the alternatives and what alternatives were considered. What are the pros and cons of the different sites, including the suggestion to work with the existing area. Because in all fairness to everyone, I got these drawings on Friday. I had a presentation today. I think, and hearing this clarifies certainly a bit. I've been to the mall many times for other applications to actually look at places, including Mr. Toomey's house. And I think it is worthwhile to go over now, having heard this and with that information, we'll just have a better perspective and view on what is being proposed and be able to look at least the two alternative sites. I understand about the need to be near power source and all, but so long answer to short question. I agree with keeping it open, but in order to be more fully informed about this.
Okay, thank you very much. So at this time, I will take a motion to continue the meeting to the next regularly scheduled meeting.
Mr. Chairman, Mr. Toomey would like to speak again. I'm not sure if that's allowed.
Now everybody was once tonight. We will be glad to hear from everybody at the next meeting. Okay, so we're going to take a motion to continue this application to the next meeting.
December 16th.
December 16th. Thank you. Mr. Curry makes the motion. Mr. Silber's nodding. That's a second. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Aye. That's everyone, unanimous. Okay, the application is continued. All right, so at this time, we will call the next application, which is, the regular meeting is now closed. We are now going into a resolution. We are going to call resolution number 1. It is the regular meeting for 147 Daniels Farm Road. The applicants Daniels Farm Estates LLC and Toll Brothers pursuant to Article 5, Section 6.3 of the Town of Trumbull zoning regulations, a resolution to permit the town planner to authorize minor non-substantial deviations of the approved special permit site plan. File 1732. Again, for those here, we are going to have staff give us a quick overview of what we're going to hear and why. And then we will have the applicants make their presentation succinctly. And then we will ask commissioners if they have any questions. Mr. Lebrandi.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So this is a resolution to make modifications of the already approved application. This application was approved, as you can see, with the file in 2017. I can't believe it's been that long, for Daniels Farm Road. I think most of the people on this commission were involved in this approval or process for 147 Daniels Farm Road at the time. It was a zone change and a site plan modification. And it was a text amendment as well too for the village residential district. So what is happening right now is that Toll Brothers has interest in the site. And I think we have some members of the Toll Brothers company with us tonight, and they want to make some minor modifications. Well, modifications that they want to present to you in terms of it being minor or not, and giving me the ability to, when they make these modifications, us being able to sign off on the building permit. These modifications are architectural design, which was a requirement of the special permit in the regulation. Location. Some of these you'll see in the application that they have examples of houses that have a little bit more square footage, and in that instance then buildings that have to shift. And that was kind of similar to the approval at the time. The original applicant had certain designs of buildings that that a buyer could pick between. So they're just added and made some changes to that. Other than that, the locations of the buildings in general are staying the same. The design of the subdivision is staying the same. The sidewalks should all be staying the same. So really, it's just aesthetic and preference to the buyer, really. So I'm really going to just push this off to Toll Brothers to present and have the commission decide if this is a resolution or this requires another type of application. Thank you.
Okay, so before the applicant speaks, one of the things that the town planner presented to me was, I think the commissioners, most of us have been on here many times. There's certain very minor changes that can be made to a plan that either the chairman or the town planner can bless because there's no material change. These changes that were presented as upgrades and enhancement because there are new application, not a new application, a new contractor involved, and they want to build a better quality product, so I was told. And the changes are supposed to be upgrades and enhancements, and I would like to hear that from them, and they're not very significant. But I wanted to make sure that all the commissioners had a chance to see what the applicants were going to do and why they needed to do what they were going to do. So that's why we are here. We weren't going to just say, because as the town planner pointed out, this was quite a contentious application. The original applicants who came in gave us an A and B application, choose A or choose B. So it took quite some time. It took almost, I think that one was almost a year, but it took a long time and we got across the finish line. So now we have a new set of contractors that are going to take over the project, and it looks like they are going to do some improvements and upgrades. And I want everybody to be able to hear that the same way everyone was able to hear the last one. So with a little more of that preface. So gentlemen, please name and address for the record and make your presentation.
Hey, Mr. Chairman, thanks for the opportunity. My name is James Fitzpatrick. I'm the division president for Toll Brothers. Our offices are located at 42 Old Ridgebury Road in Danbury, Connecticut. Just a little bit of information about Toll for those who aren't familiar with us. We're a Fortune 500 company, currently ranked number 428, and the nation's leading builder of luxury homes. We began building homes in 1967. It became a public company in 1986. This past fiscal year, our 2019, we reported revenues of $7.1 billion and settled over 8,000 homes. We currently operate in 24 states, most recently adding South Carolina and Tennessee to our territories. And we serve a host of buyers, everyone from move-up buyers to empty nesters, active adults, folks buying second homes. We have an apartment living division, a student housing group, a golf group. So we have a lot of functions under our tent. We have our own in-house architectural, engineering, mortgage, title, land development subsidiaries. And we also own and operate our own lumber distribution facility down in Pennsylvania. Just some quick brags. 2019, we were named the world's most admired home builder company by Fortune magazine. It's the 5th year in a row we've obtained that honor. We've also won Builder of the Year and Professional Builder of the Year by Builder magazine, first 2-time recipient. According to UBS metro area rankings of building permits, Toll is ranked #1 in market share for the New Jersey, New York, Pennsylvania, tri-state area market. And with that, we've also been building homes in Connecticut for over 20 years. And in Trumbull, our last project was, I believe, in early 2000s with our Regency at Trumbull project. So we're excited about the opportunity to be back in the town. The changes that we're looking to make to the plan are really to incorporate homes that we've developed and we've been selling in other communities in Connecticut that have been really successful, that serve a host of buyers, like I had mentioned earlier. We are looking to respect the bulk requirements of the approval as far as square footage is concerned, bedroom restrictions are concerned. I can share my screen. Can everyone see my screen fine?
Yes.
So, some, I think, what we consider to be improvements over what was the architecture that was included in the original application. A lot of it has to do with exterior architectural details. We incorporate a lot of, turn gables, mixed materials, whether it's, cultured stone, incorporating some brick, metal roofing. There's a lot of, that new, kind of new farmhouse type of architecture that's very popular right now. Some of our plans incorporate the use of black windows into their styling for their sashes and their trim. A lot of our plans are really focused on serving our that kind of local move down buyer too. So here's a good example. We have two plans that we're looking to incorporate into our offering on the site that are our first floor primary bedroom plans that have proven to be really popular with locals who are looking to stay in the area, but they need to accommodate a lifestyle going forward that requires a primary bedroom on a main living level. We also have plans that are traditional to your local families and move-up buyers. Again, utilizing upgraded materials on the exterior, whether it's vertical beadboard materials, metal roofing, cultured stone, exterior trim details. We're currently selling similar type homes up in a community in Newtown. That has been really successful. Since we've opened for sale in June, we've sold 17 homes. Everything that we've been offering there has been really well received by a very broad demographic of purchaser. That's the presentation. Happy to answer any questions you have about what we're looking to build in particular or about the company in general.
No, that's not the presentation. I think you have to discuss some of the changes that you intend, the actual physical changes.
Sure. So referring back to the site plan that was included in our letter and submission, you can kind of see how our boxes in red overlay over the approved houses that are in black. So we use composite house boxes here. So if you referring back to these floor plans that we had included in the package, what we like to do is kind of smush those plans together so we can come up with some composite house boxes to look at what could potentially be like the largest building envelopes, just to make sure that we meet setback requirements and proximity to limits of disturbance and whatnot. So we've done a little bit of shifting around, really just to provide some better spacing on the infield. But as you can see, as we kind of work around the perimeter of the site, we are pretty much right on top of the footprints that were approved.
Yeah, so do me a favor, give the commission and the public some measurements. I understood, I've seen this, and there's only a few structures that are actually moving right or left. The others have a little bit of growth, few feet here and there. it could have been judged as a minor, but it graduated just above. So we want the commission to see with the upgrade and the quality what you're trying to do here. So just say what you said again with numbers. As you can see, the red, there's an extension in the back, the front, these two. You have to tell them exactly what you're doing and why we should judge that it is minor versus do a new application.
Sure. So let's see. So, what we do want to specify here too is if you see these, like these smaller little protrusions off the back of the footprints, those are contemplated to be, proposed deck locations, or if we can, patio locations too. So, we can keep that in mind. So our footprints, our floor plans range anywhere from just under 2,000 square feet to around 2,800 square feet. We think, we'll end up right around average at 2,500 square feet, which is, would put us right about or just underneath what was the approved, finished square footage area that was part of the original application. And likewise, the same would carry over for the impervious, the building coverage calculations as well. So let's see. The total approximate building coverage was 62,300. Condition space 76,200. Assuming a 2,500 square foot, on average home, we'd end up just around 75,000 square feet of conditioned space, and probably around like 61,000 square feet of building coverage. But again, we sell based upon what our buyers are looking to purchase. So there is there is flexibility. We don't pre-program homes that are slated to be on any specific home site.
Okay, thank you. I'm gonna go to the commissioners now to see what flavor they have before we ask for any more. Let's go in reverse this time. Mr. Prush.
Well, I may have some comments, but the only question I have is it says in the letter of November 3rd that you allow our buyers to choose their floor plans from among those offered at a given community. Does that mean you're pre-selling and then building, or are you going to be building, deciding what you're building, like, so many at a time or whatever, or is this a purchase to build and therefore each person gets to select their own unit?
We are predominantly a purchase to build company, although in recent months in particular, there has been a growing need for what we call quick delivery homes, where you have a customer who's coming in and they want something sooner, than a typical 9-month build time, if they were to come in and build it from the start versus from what they selected. So, but we would be predominantly, So I would say here, like, of the homes on the site, maybe 10%, we would pre-select and kind of have some quick delivery home inventory, but predominantly we build what our purchasers choose. That's kind of like our niche, right? I mean,
That's fine. Yeah, that wasn't my question is, which of these houses does the red most closely resemble? Meaning, is it the because they're a little different. I mean, they're similar, but a little different in their coverage, or so they look like, or maybe the scale of the drawings is not always matching. But is this like a worst case scenario, meaning you drew the biggest in each location, or did you do a mix? I see, in some places the houses have been pulled actually away from the setback, spaced a little more. And in some, they have, have expanded a little bit too. So just wondering.
Yeah, I think, we did a mix here, and we did our best to show what we believe would be a realistic, mix of footprints throughout the home. We didn't pick the smallest for all lots. We didn't pick the biggest for all lots. But we did provide calculations at Rob's suggestion for what the worst case would be, right? If somebody picked, if every single person.
An
did pick-
overall calculation.
Right. Yeah.
If somebody comes in and they say, well, I want this house, does that have something to do, like, would you say, okay, if you want that house, you get to pick from these 4 locations? Let's say, in other words, you might designate different locations for different houses, not only because of the size, but just the architecture, just the way they look. So you don't have a whole row of the same house.
Yeah, we have lookalike, we call them lookalike restrictions. So yeah, we do control what customers can build adjacent to or across the street from other homes to make sure that which is why, I'll share my screen again. Which is why we do offer 3 to 4 different exterior home elevations, for home stylings for each plan type that we build. But then customers can also select what we'll call structural options that may, add a bay window to a home, or kind of, push and pull the rear of the home a little bit, or add a loft onto the second floor of a primary bedroom down plan that it impacts the roof line a little bit. And then we're very careful with colors too. We'll have some pre-selected color palettes that we could apply across all elevations. So when you go through you're kind of like the kit of parts, or the number of permutations that you could have throughout the community. We do a little bit of control, but a lot of the time the market really programs its own variation.
Okay, so your goal obviously is a mix, and from your experience, and it's good that people actually, one advantage to the sell and build is that people can, modify or add things like a bay window or something, or personalize a plan. What has your experience been in that? Have you found that it actually has created quite a variety in the final development, because people do different things instead of having things so similar?
Yeah, and it does, kind of to the point where we've had to, I don't want to say rein that in a little bit, but like I said, we'll make sure we have, maybe 4 or 5 different exterior color palettes versus, giving someone the full color wheel of a cider's, inventory, which could lead to, like a patchwork quilt, or, you do want to have some commonality that kind of flows through a community, but you want each home to be, unique to itself as well.
Well, there's definitely plenty of commonality in these plans and elevations, and actually that commonality gives the option to have some individual expression in the houses. So, okay, those are my questions.
Great, thank you.
Okay, Mr. Silver.
Just to clarify the question, Chairman Garrity, are we talking about whether or not this is significant enough modification in the plan for us to bring it back before the commission? Because
yes, but the reverse. We are here to say that these changes for enhancement and upgrade, because of the new contractor involved, are within the scope of changes to be ruled minor, because it's the same number of buildings, the same layout, and the change is not as significant enough to force a new application, that the town planner has the authority to approve those modifications. Yes.
all right, so then my response to that is that it does seem minor and insignificant, especially compared to other applications that I've seen along the way, where we did the same thing, where we did not require a second application. I think of the development at Long Hill Green,
right,
for example. The only thing is, Mr. Pruitt made a good point, is, I'd like to see some assurance that we don't go to the worst case scenario. From 60, an estimated 60,000 square feet of building and 76 of conditioned living space. to the, you know, so, and I think the developer and the builder, you know,
So
based on
what,
that, based on the last series of questions, the builder has plenty of leverage to do that.
correct.
So-
And I think that's a very good point, Mr. Silver. And I think that the contractor and the applicant can work with the town planner on those specifics. And let's just say, as they occur, right? So they're not going to walk in and say, approve this plan, and it's stamped and they go away. Let's say they have to approve each of the house builds, you know, or in blocks, whatever, to your point, because they're already saying they have the protection plans in place where they don't allow all that. So they can't come in and say, we don't approve plans that say A, B, or C is what we want, approve them all. Okay, that's not what planning does. That's not what zoning does. That's not what the town planner does. They can come to us and say, we have house A, B, C, or D, and that's what we would be building on these lots, which would require some level of modification. And to your exact point, and I think their presentation, they have a layout and a structured plan for how they make that disbursement still be aesthetically pleasing, right? So I think the approval process between the contractor and the town planner needs to be rolled out in the same fashion that would support your issue, right?
If I understand you, you're saying the town planner has the leeway to say, I want this development to stay within the 76 and the 61, whatever the numbers are, more or less. I mean,
right. But or to your point, they had 6 big ones. You can't have 6 more in a row, to your point. You know what I mean? So Rob is also going to interact with them to make sure that they are going to enforce and develop the sprinkle factor that they described so that it's built properly. I think that's your point, right?
That is my point, and thank you for bringing it to the commission to get our temperature on it. I think it's a small change that's well within the leeway of the planner.
And if it wasn't just going to be an improvement, we would have just said apply again. So that's good. Thank you. All right, Mr. Curry.
I just want to clarify. So when we approved this project, there was, let's say there was X amount of single-story houses and maybe X amount with 2, and all controlled by a number, which was a number we called 75,000 square feet. Is that correct?
I don't think there were any single stories, were there? I thought they were all 2 stories. They were all 2 stories.
Yeah, here's the, I'll bring up the approved.
Yeah, there were no single stories.
Okay, so the size of the houses we approved is the same, right?
Close.
Pretty
Some
much.
of them they're a couple feet off here and there. That's why we're here.
Essentially, they're the same though. If I look at that overlay of the outline, they look essentially the same to me.
They are essentially, but I want to be crystal clear.
Yeah.
The reason we are here is they are not exactly the same.
Right.
Couple feet in the back, couple feet on the side, couple houses move to the left, a couple houses move to the right, but it's because of the enhanced structure and the quality. And then something that hasn't been said is that we have an upgraded firm that wants to make upgrades to the project.
Right.
And we think it's all in our best interest to support this, I would think, because if it wasn't this firm, it could be firm C that comes in and says, we'll take the plan you got. We got plenty of cardboard in the yard and we're just going to go build them.
But in my simple terms, they build houses about the same size that look their way, and the person who presented it built houses about the same size their way, and we're just approving that houses about the same size with a couple of minor adjustments are built the Toll Brothers way. Essentially, that's what we're approving.
Exactly.
If I walked along the back of the houses, say from the neighbors, they probably look the same essentially before and after, right?
They would look
So
the
I
same,
think
but they would be a couple feet off here and there. That's the
couple feet, yeah,
change.
but nothing, like I noticed the ones in the perimeter are all about the same size. The only ones that
Right.
move are the interior. So, yeah, I think this fits within, I would say this fits within a minor adjustment.
Great. Thank you very
I
much.
would not have a problem with that.
Thank you. Commissioner DeQuilla.
I'm having a difficult time to looking at their, shall we call it a sketch
Mhm.
of the property. I don't recognize it. Maybe because I never saw the final drawing. Because it was never submitted to the planning and zoning. Maybe Rob could give me some clarification on that. For example, we have this area right at the entranceway of, I guess, where the mailboxes are.
Okay, go ahead
Was
with
that
your question.
presented to the planning and zoning?
Yeah, the final plan several years ago definitely was presented. Yeah.
But I don't recognize it.
Okay.
We made a lot of improvements in this entrance.
Yeah,
here.
there were improvements that were done that was requested by the Planning and Zoning Commission to change, like add the mailbox at the end, request a specific design. I think this commission gave me the ability to to meet those designs.
Like we got the mailbox.
Maybe Mr. DeQuilla, what they're talking about is the conditions of approval have all been applied to the final document from the last time.
They cannot deviate from the final approval of what else they're stating on this application in terms of architectural design and where the layout is. Everything else has to stay the same. The buffering, the landscaping, everything has to stay the same.
Yeah, Mr. DeQuilla, can I start with the high level and then we'll get to some of your any more questions that you do have. The scope of our request here that 4 commissioners have supported so far is that the applicant is asking planning and zoning to allow the town planner to work with them to make minor changes in small footage on each of the developments as required in total control with the town planner for the purpose of building upgraded material houses compared to the last plan that we saw. So what's your idea? What's your thoughts on that?
I don't understand why it's not coming back before the Planning and Zoning Commission.
Because it's a minor change and
well, that's the question. Is it minor? For example, house number 2 and number 3.
Mhm.
The red line has gotten closer to number 2 than previously. And there's no way for me to say, yep, it's 15 feet because I can't even read the scale here. It's not legible. What we need is a full engineering drawing for me to make a decision whether or not that's a significant or insignificant movement.
I think what we're doing here, I understand your question, but what we're doing here is we are giving that authority for those minor changes to the town planner, which 4 of us are in agreement with as we're coming to you. You make a good point. Our house is close enough. Our house is far enough. Is the setback properly? Because as we've discussed, the original plan is approved. The original plan is in the solid blue. When you see the red, as you've pointed out, they are the hypothetical changes if the design of the one of their structures is the one that's going to be used on that particular lot. It could be that a different one of their structures is used there and the setback is going to be different. So I understand your question, but to put them through those hoops of a hypothetical would not be fair to anybody because it's not real. The point is when they are in a sale to build, they have to have the ability for the flexibility, but under total control of the town with the safety, setback, and design features being controlled and approved by the town planner, because we as a commission would make a uniform decision that we agree that the small footage changes to each of the developments is minor. Okay? Your points are well done, but we're handing it to the town planner. You understand the hypotheticalness of your question and why I described it like that?
I guess I can. But
Okay.
there was a statement made, are the conditions still of approval still applicable? And this is to Rob. I have before me the police commission's approval, and they gave 4 conditions. Are those 4 conditions still applicable?
This is a resolution to the existing approved file, so yes.
I'm sorry,
Yes.
they're still
This
applicable.
this is a resolution to an existing approved application, so yes.
Okay. So the first condition was a pad to be installed at the location of for the children to wait for the bus.
Mr. DeQuilla, do we need to go through them all because they're all there? He
I
answered
don't
your
see a
question.
pad. And then it says a sidewalk. The sidewalk has to be adjacent to the roadway. I don't see a sidewalk adjacent to the roadway. So I'm saying, I'm looking, this is their, I guess it's not an application, but I'm not too sure why it isn't. I don't know if they even know what the requirements are. I'd like to see, as I said, the drawing that they gave us is a sketch. I'd like to see an engineering drawing.
I believe this is their due diligence. This is why they're coming in front of us, because they've done their research and then they're trying to figure out if this is something that would be palatable to the commission. So they've already reviewed the approved application, and that's why they're coming for a modification to see if a resolution of upgrades is a possibility.
So Mr. DeQuilla, you brought up some very good points, and I know that our town planner will make sure, because it's part of the approval process, it's part of the CO process, it's part of the inspection process, that they have to meet the plans. You do bring up a point.
But I don't know what the plan is, Fred.
The plan is already, hold on a second. I understand, but my point is, and the other commissioners is, the plan is the most important part of it, is it's already approved. And as it's approved is how it needs to be built and will be built. What they are here today to ask is, they are a new set of contractors and build different quality product, and they have to make some small adjustments in their presentation. And we are so far accepting of that, 4 of us, that say the changes that they would like to make are small enough that we can allow the town planner to approve them. An engineering drawing cannot be done if they don't know what they're going to engineer on those lots. We can't ask them for something that doesn't exist. What does exist is the old approved plan that they are showing us here, with the possibilities. I just listened to what they said. They sprinkled in hypotheticals of all their different models. It's not exactly what the final product could or would be, but they are what the implications of the slight modifications would be. That's the scope of what our decision is tonight, is the slight modifications that they are offering fall within the bounds that we agree that the town planner should have the authority to approve it. That's the scope of what we're discussing. We can't force them to give us a drawing of something that's not real yet. Okay? Does that work for you, Tony? Mr. DeQuilla.
I hear you. I'm thinking.
Okay.
If you don't mind.
No, go ahead. I try and think at least a couple times a day.
I have no other comments on this.
Great. Okay, do you mind unsharing your screen for a minute so I can see everybody? It makes it easier for me. Thank you. Okay, so Mr. Silber, you chimed in. Mr. Prush, you chimed in. Mr. Corey, you chimed in. Mr. DeQuilla chimed in, and I chimed in. So at this point, I would just ask, is there anything else that the applicant would like to add at this point?
No, I think we've covered it all. And just again, just to reiterate, we absolutely understand the underlying approval, and are going to work with town staff to make sure that we meet the conditions of the underlying approval.
Great. Staff, is there any other further comment at this point?
No, nothing at this time.
Okay. Mr. Cordone, in all my discussions of the hypotheticalness and the scope of what we're doing and allowing the modification and the transfer of authority, was it all explained and discussed properly, at least from your opinion?
I would say yes, it was, Mr. Chairman.
Great. Okay. So at this point, there's, correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Cordone, this is not a public comment thing. This is just a resolution. So it is only in the scope of the committee here, the commission.
That's correct. This is not a public hearing. You're just
Okay.
making a determination that it's a minor. Thank you, sir.
Great. Okay. So at this time, having discussed further, hearing no other discussions, nobody's raising their hand, I will make a motion to approve the resolution to transfer the authority of minor modifications to the town planner.
Make a motion.
Mr. Corey makes the motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Mr. Prus seconds. Any comments on the motion further? Hearing none, I'm going to roll call vote. Mr. Silber,
Yes, approved.
Mr. Prus,
Yes.
Mr. Corey,
Yes.
Mr. D'Aquila,
Abstain.
and I vote yes. That would be 4. Motion carries. Okay, gentlemen, thank you for your presentation.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, so scrolling down, we have acceptance of the minutes from the October 21 Planning and Zoning meeting. Is there a motion? Mr. D'Aquila motions to approval. Is there a second? Mr. Corey seconds. Any discussion or changes to the minutes from October 21? Hearing none, all in favor, aye. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, unanimous. And that ends our meeting. All right. Motion, any other further business? I hear none. Take a motion to close. Mr. Curry motions. Mr. Silber, you second that motion? Yes, you do. All those in favor, aye. We're closed. Thank you, everybody. Talk
Thank
to you
you.
soon. All right, take it easy. Thank
I know.
you.